Sony has always had a name for a company that makes elegant, stylish devices, and the Xperia XZ undeniably looks like one. While it has those signature for Sony phones sharp corners and slightly bulky size, it also now comes with edges that are tapered and more comfortable to hold. The back is made out of special aluminum alloy that Sony calls Alkalido. In real life, it's a shiny metal finish with a very smooth coating that actually makes it feel a bit like glass. It's great to look at when it's clean, but it gets also smudged very easily with fingerprints. Look closer though, and you'll see that the sides of the phone are made of plastic, and so are the physical buttons. The keys don't feel as clicky or as well made as the ones on Galaxies and iPhones of today, and those plastic elements definitely look cheap. The international version of the phone does have a fingerprint scanner in its side position lock button, but if you are buying the Xperia XZ in the US, you don't get a fingerprint scanner at all. We guess that this has something to do with patents, but it's still an absurd situation for a flagship phone. The Xperia XZ comes in a choice of 3 colors, the signature for the model Forest Blue, as well as the Mineral Black and Platinum versions. The XZ is also IP68 certified, meaning it is water resistant. It can withstand a 30-minute stay in water that is up to 3 feet deep. That's nice. The Xperia XZ features a 5.2-inch Full HD IPS LCD display. While most top-end Android phones these days ship with a Quad HD display with a higher resolution, we still find the Full HD display perfectly sharp for regular use on your phone and can complain about sharpness. Only if you use your phone as a screen for a virtual reality headset there is some noticeable difference. But what about the colors on the screen? The screen would appear fine to folks who only care about eye-popping color, but if you're looking for some sort of color accuracy and care about seeing the colors as they should be seen, you won't find this here. Colors appear unrealistically oversaturated, while whites have a bluish tint. Sony's Android interface just does not seem to change. If you've used the Sony phone a few years ago and pick up the new Xperia XZ, you probably would not find much of a difference. Yes, we have Android 6 Marshmallow here, but on top of it are the same icons and visual style as before. Sony's skin is simple and fast, but at times it feels just a bit too simplistic. There are a few things that are new here. Sony has built in a cache cleaner app which works its magic automatically and invisibly so that you don't have to actually open it and manually clear the cache to speed up your phone. Sony also has some neat stylish themes with colors matching that of the body of the phone. They don't bring radical customization but are still a very nice touch. And we risk sounding grumpy, but we're not very happy with the typing on the Xperia XZ. Sony uses SwiftKey as the keyboard and by default is set to give absolutely no haptic feedback, which slows down typing. It's hard to find how to enable that option, but even if you do, the feedback still does not feel as good as on other phones. What about performance? As most flagships this year, the Sony Xperia XZ comes with the Snapdragon 820 paired with 3GB of RAM. We have no complaints about the actual hardware. This is one of the fastest chips currently available on Android, but we do have issue with the occasional stutter here and there. The phone does not lag per se, but does not feel as smooth as you'd expect from a flagship phone either. For storage, you have 32GB on board and the option to expand that via microSD cards. That's all good, but we're shocked to see that of these 32GB, only around 20 are actually available to the end user. That's less than all other 32GB phones that we know of and definitely limits you when you start piling up photos and videos. The Xperia XZ features a 23MP main camera with f2.0 lens, while up front there is a 13MP selfie camera. New in this camera setup is laser autofocus that helps lock the focus much faster. Sony also includes a color sensor that helps the phone properly set the white balance of an image. Of course, we've seen those features years ago on other phones, but it's still nice to have them on the XZ. It's also undeniably nice to have a dedicated camera shutter key. Where Sony falls short first though is the camera app. First, speed. It's slow in operation. We're surprised to see the phone take a second or so after every shot loading the picture. The interface also feels clunky. You switch from photo to video mode by swiping, but it takes a few long seconds. Absurdly, you cannot shoot 4K video in video mode, yet the XZ does support 4K capture, but you need to scroll further up to the camera apps and only then select the 4K mode, separate from the main video interface. That's just slow and counterintuitive. What about the quality of the actual pictures? Well, pictures mostly turn out fine and focus is very fast, but there are some issues that make image quality far from perfect. There is a ton of over-sharpening and color fringing, while detail in areas of uniform color appears very smudged out. Pictures also have a very noticeable contrast and saturation boost that does not look natural at all. When it comes to the front camera, in good light it captures sharp selfies with excellent detail and sharpness, however don't expect any miracles from it indoors. 4K video on the Xperia XZ is recorded at 30 frames per second and comes with stabilization turned off by default, which results in very shaky and unpleasant looking videos. We recommend you go into the settings in the 4K mode and enable the steady shot option. It's worth noting that the view you get is also a significantly cropped view of what you get in 1080p. For music, we're happy that Sony has built two front-facing speakers in the XZ. They're not mind-blowing in quality but get sufficiently loud and, while lacking in depth, provide fairly clean audio. Call quality on the Xperia XZ is fine but not excellent. Voices through the earpiece were mostly easy to recognize, but if we had to pick the nits, we'd say that sound is a bit muffled and lacking in clarity. The experience on the other end of the line is similar, slightly muffled and lacking in clarity, but again not terrible at all. The XZ features a 2900 mAh sealed battery. We put it through our battery test and got less than 7 hours of on-screen time, which ranks it above average, on par with the Galaxy S7. Unfortunately though, Sony includes a slow charger in the box, and using it takes almost 3 hours to fully charge the phone from 0 to 100. Fast charging is definitely sorely missed here. Sony says that it also takes some extra care of the battery health in the long run. It prevents it from overcharging at night, and this should help it stay healthier longer throughout the years. Overall, the Sony Xperia XZ is a stylish phone that is decent all around. However, it is not extraordinary in any way, and it falls short when compared with flagship devices like the Apple iPhone 7 or the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. It falls short in terms of performance, camera, and the extra features and functionality that both these phones have. Yet it rocks an even higher price than these two. It's hard to recommend the XZ when it has less going for it, yet a higher price. And it's even harder to recommend a flagship phone with no fingerprint reader these days. As it is, the Xperia XZ is a phone for the Sony diehards, but sadly not the best option for everyone else.